Welcome to Arkham Horror, the card game. This is the third scenario of the Night of the Zealot campaign, which is called the Devourer below. You can see it in the bottom right. We start on page 28, but before we do our thematic, setting the seed, setting the mood, reading, lighting, I straight away went into lighting. What a scumbag. I would like to show you our upgraded decks, or the upgrade paths that our decks have taken. So that'll just take 2 minutes. We'll nip onto Arkham build. For Roland Banks, we have taken away a 45 automatic. I felt like with the addition of extra ammunition here, we are kind of hoping to have Roland's 38 special take a bit more of a center stage, and then we can refill it perhaps. I don't know, we added in another police badge, so we got 2 of them. Now, we upgraded our emergency, or one of our emergency caches, to a level 2 emergency cache. We removed guard dog, we removed manual dexterity, and we added in an I've had worse. Just like the idea of this card, I've never really played with it, and I think it could come in clutch. Clutch is the phrase, isn't it? So we spent all 9 of our XP, and I think they're not the best upgrades, but they will be serviceable. Wendy Adams, we have added in, or we should say we've taken away. Now, why does it say I'm blanking? Oh, I see, because we've added in charisma. I thought there was a mismatch here of card numbers. So we've taken away sneak attack. I didn't feel like it ever felt as if we wanted to play it in that last scenario, or the 2 last scenarios. I'll roll over it. We got rid of leather coat as well. Again, it just didn't ever feel... I didn't ever feel drawn to playing it. We got rid of cunning distraction because got rid of cunning distraction as we have interrogated all the cultists, so they don't... The deck tech that we were kind of preparing for in this last scenario will not come to pass. And it's just a bit of a... If you don't have a known use for it, you want to get rid of it. We've added in Will to Survive. This is really cool. It does cost 4 resources, so it is expensive. It's fast. You play only during your turn. Until the end of your turn, do not reveal chaos tokens for any skill tests you perform. So comboed with Leo DeLuca, we could get 4 testless skill tests, or we could get 4 kind of... So we're just testing our stat versus the stat of the skill test, which could come in... I think that's, I guess, a bit like something... What am I saying? Somewhat like police badge, where you can throw it away, then you get 2 actions in a pinch. I think it could come in really, really handy. We've added in a close call. This is... I'm not quite sure of its use, really. But it's one of those cards that I thought we should play with it and see where it comes in handy, and then we can learn a bit more about it. You play it after a non-weakness, non-elite enemy at your location is evaded. Of course, we'll be doing that with Wendy. And then you shuffle that enemy into the encounter deck, so it's almost a way of defeating an enemy. Not quite, because she wouldn't get victory points. But it's a way of defeating an enemy or getting rid of an enemy just by evading, which is perfect for Wendy, because she's not going to be fighting. We added in charisma, because I've thrown in a cat burglar here. These 2 upgrades, the cat burglar, the charisma, I'm not that convinced on, but there really wasn't that much to choose from in the core set, so we've just kind of chucked him in and we'll see what happens. Cat burglar is good for evading, and we can kind of get out of dodge with an action if we want to. We can move to a connecting location. I think we still rather have Leo DeLuca, really. 9 XP spent on Wendy as well. Let's get back to the game. The mood lighting, let's start. Scenario 3. The Devourer below. After a frantic nighttime search throughout Arkham, you've tracked down and questioned several, all members of the cult. Your findings are disturbing. They claim to worship a being known as Umurdoth, a monstrous entity from another realm. You're able to confirm much of Lita's story. The cult is agitated over the destruction of a ghoul lair. However, a surprising detail also turns up. The one who invaded the lair and set this night's events in motion was none other than Lita Chandler herself. You're not sure why this important detail was omitted from Lita's story. Did she only tell you as much as was necessary to draw you into her conflict? But in another light, she seems to be fighting to protect the city of Arkham from a terrible menace. The final piece of the puzzle was found written in a journal possessed by one of the cultists. It describes a dark ritual to be performed deep within the woods south of Arkham this very night. According to the journal, the ritual's completion will open a gate and bring forth the cult's dark master into this world. If the cult is not stopped, Lita warns, there is a possibility that Mordoth's vengeance will consume all in its path. Frightened, but determined to stop the ritual, you head into the woods. Gather all the cards from the encounter set, that will be done. Put the main path location into play, that's done. Shuffle the 6 copies of Arkham Woods and choose 4 of them at random, that isn't done. Let's get these out. Arkham Woods, where are they? Are they stacked up here? What's going on? They're at the top, they're at the top, they're at the top, they're at the top. Shuffle, 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 and we pick 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we set aside the other 2. What next? We need to... This is freaking me out, man. This is twisting my melon. Need to get those nicely lined up. Remove the other 2 from the game. Done that, each investigator begins play at the main path in the middle. I can contribute. Set the ritual site and Mordoth cards aside out of play. They're in this set aside bit. Randomly choose one of the following 4 encounter sets. So we pull an encounter set from here, I think. And I believe this is hidden from us, so it will, we're not seeing any information that we shouldn't be seeing. Without looking at the chosen encounter set, shuffle it and the remainder of the encounter cards together to form the encounter deck and remove the rest of them from the game. So we put these in our encounter deck, and then we shuffle. I didn't see anything. And even if I did, it wouldn't have mattered because it wasn't one of the cultists. Check the number of names recorded under cultists who got away. There are no names. For once, there are no names. If there are exactly 0 names, no changes are made. Add 1, what would you call that? Add 1 Elder Thing. Is it called Elder Thing or Elder Sign? I think it was Elder Thing. Chaos Token or Tentacles. Chaos Token to the Chaos Bag for the remainder of the campaign. I don't actually know how to do that. How do you do that? Or you left-click one of these to increase? No, that changed the number. Let me sort this out off camera. Okay, masterfully I worked out how to do it. If you're curious, you click these buttons up here. Check the campaign log. If it is past midnight, I don't think it was past midnight because we didn't run out of time. We would discard 2 random cards from their starting hand. That would be nasty, and it is nasty, having been on the receiving end of it. Check campaign log. If the Ghoul Priest is still alive, he is not. When the game is complete, so I guess we play. The Arkham Woods. From interrogating members of the conspiracy within Arkham, you've learned that they're performing a rite of vengeance in response to the destruction of one of their master's lairs. You've entered the woods outside Arkham to try to stop them. The woods seem unnaturally cold and filled with a deathly silence. Investigating the trail, the evidence you've gathered has led you to the woods south of Arkham, where you believe a ritual to summon a being called Mordoth is about to take place. Steeling your resolve, you set forth deeper into the woods, hoping to find the site of this ritual. And to progress this, we need 6 clues, 3 per investigator. I believe we get going. Let's draw our opening hands. Shuffle, 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 5. Shuffle, 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 5. On Roland, we have drawn Vicious Blow, we've drawn Overpower, Working a Hunch, Machete, and Extra Ammunition. A good hand, I think. On Wendy, we've drawn Close Call, Look What I Found, Flashlight, Perception, and Lucky. All right. Start with Roland. Let's see what I think we can keep Vicious Blow, because it's damn handy to have. We've got our weapon, thus we don't need to focus on mulliganing for a weapon. The combination of Extra Ammunition and Machete doesn't feel great though, so I believe we should mulligan Extra Ammunition. Working a Hunch, get rid. Hope to find a flashlight instead for a bit more of a consistent long-term solution to clue getting. Then we keep Vicious Blow, Overpower. We can get rid of Overpower. I know it replaces itself, but I would rather have a wider first hand instead of this that we're not going to probably use for a while. Anyway, I'm thinking too much about this mulligan. What do we get? We drew manual dexterity, perception, and a police badge. It's not great. I don't know why it's not great. I can't put it into words, but it doesn't feel particularly optimistic. I suppose the presence or the lack of presence of a flashlight is foundational to that feeling. Wendy's, we are happy with flashlight. We're happy, I think, with look what I found. We would really like lockpicks, but beggars can't be choosers. Lucky is fine too, as is perception, really. And you could almost say that close call is good to have in a pinch. I think, and this doesn't happen often, I think we keep our opening hand on Wendy. I suppose Leo DeLuca's not there. Maybe we just mulligan everything to get Leo DeLuca. Is that insane? I'm going to try this because I've seen other people employ this tactic. You just do a big fat mulligan. You get 5, and one of them is Leo DeLuca. Oh, no, it's not. But one of them is lockpicks, and we're happy with that. Shuffle these back into the deck and let's get going. Who to start? Well, these investigators, we should read this. Hangman's Brook separates Uptown from the woods south of Arkham. Passing over the small bridge, you follow the main path deeper into the forest. This is a 2-shroud location, and you can spend an action to resign. But I don't think we'll be doing that. We will be throwing our lives away to try and stop Umordoth. It's running away and letting an elder being out into the world. I think you're still shagged in general anyway. Let's take this setup turn the way that we should do. So Machete gets played by Roland. Oh, also, Skull is -X, Cultist is -2, you place 1 doom on the nearest enemy, Tablet is -3, if there's a monster enemy at your location take 1 damage, and the Elder thing is -5, if there is an Ancient One enemy in play, reveal another token. Roland pays 3 resources for this, and realizes that he will probably need a flashlight to do anything of use anywhere, but still, like the brave boy he is, he goes into the dark of the night. Moving to this Arkham Woods. Growing up, you were always warned to stay out of the woods at night. Now you know why. Terrifying, horrible stuff. Twisting paths. This is a 3-shroud location and there are 2 clues here. Forced, when you move out of this location, test 3 book. If you fail, cancel the effects of the move. So we could get stuck here, that's lovely. This path seems to twist and turn upon itself, almost as if it were alive. Don't like that. Don't like that at all, and we are probably going to struggle to get too many clues off it, so I imagine we hope a monster or an enemy spawns here. With Roland's last action this turn, we use a perception, and we test 5 versus 3, hoping for anything better than a -2. Another elder sign, just ridiculous. So in actuality, we got 7 versus 3. We succeed on this test. Flip over our last action. Roland's turn is done. Wendy's go. What are you going to do? You've only got 3 actions, Wendy. What are you playing at? I didn't read out our mulligan, did I? We got manual dexterity in our hand, will to survive, lockpicks, survival instinct, and sneak attack. Less impressed with sneak attack, but I am looking forward to lockpicks. I guess we just get them out straight away for 3 resources. Don't see any reason not to do that. Now, do we go far away, or do we stay close? Let's stay close. Use an action to go down to this Arkham Woods. This one is Quiet Glade. This is kind of naff. I don't like this. It's a 1-shroud location. There are no clues. Well, what's the point of it then? You can spend an action to heal a damage or heal 1 horror. This would be a nice picnic spot, if it weren't for all the monsters. Yeah, damn straight. And I don't know, from the artwork, the vibe is definitely not pleasant picnic spot. It's definitely creepy woods. Bit of a waste of a turn here, really. I almost think all we can do is go back to the middle. It just doesn't feel efficient. It doesn't feel right, but I do believe that's the right thing to do. And that's everyone's turn done, so move on to the enemy phase. I don't see any enemies out. Move on to the upkeep phase. What are we drawn? We've got a guard dog on Roland. We've got a rabbit's foot on Wendy. Less impressed with the guard dog, but I love rabbit's foot. Mythos phase, add a doom. Our first doom of this game. We drew an encounter. Sorry, of course we drew an encounter, but we drew an acolyte in that encounter. Spawns at any empty location. Go up here, and we'll send Roland to this northern Arkham Woods next. Wendy's encounter card is Ancient Evils, because of course it is. We add a doom. This effect can cause the current agenda to advance, but it doesn't. Not yet, anyway. But it's stacking up. It's stacking up. You can see it's stacking up. We have to deal with this acolyte. God, we have to deal with it next turn, or this turn, otherwise the agenda moves on straight away. Horrible stuff. Investigation phase. It wasn't too bad of a Mythos phase. I think this 4 doom is just setting us up for failure, really. But we know what we're going to do with Roland. Do we know what we're going to do? I guess we don't. In fact, Wendy could move north and then evade the acolyte and then use a sneak attack on the acolyte. That might be the way to do it. Because Roland, I feel like Roland is going to get bogged down in this Arkham Woods. We also really, if we assume that there's 2 clues in each of these unrevealed locations, we need Roland to be picking up this last clue. We can't just be leaving to go chase after monsters. I think what we do is we test with Roland first. We test 3 versus 3, see what happens to get this clue. And that's a minus. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. -4. We test again to get the clue. This doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel good, and I wonder if this is what we should be doing, really. Did we draw a card from perception? From that last clue? From getting that last clue? I guess we didn't. Let's draw one now. BCOM, that's good because it doesn't change things. It doesn't change the state of the game. We're not going to be able to get out of Arkham Woods. This is dreadful. I can see the way this game is going to go. What if when Wendy went up here, it revealed a path between these locations? We'd feel annoyed about that, wouldn't we? Oh, I guess we just draw another card. Doesn't feel great. We're hoping to see a flashlight, really? Or we're hoping to get an enemy spawn on Roland in the next Mythos phase? That's Roland's turn finished. It didn't feel like a good one, I'll say that. Wendy goes. 1 action up here. Acolyte engages Wendy. We reveal this Arkham Woods. It is unhallowed ground. Ooh, wonderful art. I love that. 4 shroud location, and there are 2 clues. After you enter this location, test 4 head. If you fail, take 1 damage and 1 horror. This clearing has been the site of dark rites since colonists first came to the area over 2 centuries ago. Those darn pilgrims, those darn dark rite pilgrims. Oh, we follow our plan, I think, but first we have to test 4 head. Is there anything that we can commit? Doesn't seem so, because I'd like to play Rabbit's Foot. So 4 versus 4, we hope for a 0. X. X is the number of monster enemies in play. There are none that I can see, so we're testing at 0. We succeeded. We don't take the damage or horror from unhallowed ground. Stick to the plan. We evade Acolyte. We're testing 4 versus 2. I think we really, really want this to succeed. No, we deal this back. Is it to red or is it to orange? It's to orange. No, we do commit sorry. We do commit manual dexterity because we'd like to get our card draw going. I was thinking we could not commit it, and then if we needed to redraw, then we throw away manual dexterity. But that way we don't get the card draw, so I think this method is superior. But let's test. We're testing 6 versus 2. And we got a cultist, -2, which means we do succeed. So first we draw, and we say we're happy about that. We then exhaust Acolyte. We place 1 doom on Acolyte because of this cultist, which means we really need to deal with him. But luckily, we have a way to deal with him. We have sneak attack. Throw that away for our last action, and deal 2 damage to Acolyte. Acolyte gets deaded, and we say that we live to fight another day. We say that we're going to last maybe one turn more before the doom comes on the encounter deck. Again, though, it didn't feel like a great turn, and also these locations are not linked by the look of it. No, so Roland is going to have to run away through the middle. I'm not liking the setup of this map at all. We go to the enemy phase. There are no enemies. Fantastic stuff. Upkeep. Working a hunch on Roland and pickpocketing on Wendy. Mythos phase, we add a doom and we start drawing encounter cards. Dissonant voices on Roland. He can't play assets or events. Frustrating because working a hunch is definitely an event. And it's not an enemy either, this dissonant voices, so he can't take advantage of Roland's investigator ability. What am I doing? All right, we take the cards. We take everything as it's dealt. Wendy's event is a mysterious chanting. Place one doom on the nearest cultist enemy. There are none. If there are no cultist enemies in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a cultist enemy and draw it. So let's use that to get information about what cultists we had. I don't really know enough, but it's these one. I think it's these Yithian observers. So what do? They're 4, 4, and 3. Presumably while we're searching the encounter deck, we can look at the cards on the encounter deck, so we're using this to gain information. Its prey is the one with the fewest cards in hand. It's 4, 4, 3, which is difficult to deal with. When Yithian Observer attacks you, you discard one card at random from your hand. If you cannot, Yithian Observer deals +1 damage and +1 horror for this attack. It's horrible, but there is a victory point on it, though this is the last scenario in the campaign, so who cares about that? A Wooga, though, for the victory, I suppose. 1 health damage, 1 sanity damage, and it's a fascinating-looking thing, but obviously terrifying. Okay, we're not going to be pulling one of these into play, I don't think. Is Umurdoth's Wrath the other part of this set? Let me just look at this. I don't want to waste too much time, actually. I think it might be Offer of Power. This is the complementary card to the Yithian Observer. That means you draw 2 cards and place 2 doom on the current agenda or take 2 horror. These are horrible. Okay, what we are going to do is we are going to pull an Acolyte. Should we pull... I think we pull this Acolyte from the discard pile, because then it slows down this encounter deck. Some of these are really nasty. We take the Acolyte away from the discard pile and put him into... What is it? Any empty location. Any empty location, which can be this main path. And we're happy with that. But we still got to get Roland out of this horrible twisting paths nonsense. We shuffle the encounter deck. That's important because we've seen it now. Not the end of the world. That was Wendy's encounter deck card. On to the investigation phase. Who goes first? Suppose Roland goes first. I kind of think Roland should just leave. I kind of think Roland should just run to the main path and kill the Acolyte. We should have spawned... I'm doing something different. We should have spawned the Acolyte here, because Doom's going to move on anyway, so we don't actually need to deal with the Acolyte post-haste. So we can kind of throw him out to the side and then clear this corridor in the middle for us moving without having to deal with Acolyte. I'm not sure there's any logic to that, really, but it feels right to me. Roland just, tests 3 versus 3 for the clue in Arkham Woods. It's horrible. We could use working... I think, honestly, Roland just stays. Roland just stays in Arkham Woods until next turn, when he can use working a hunch to get the clue and get out. So for this turn, what do we use all his actions on? Well, playing Beat Cop is one thing. I know, because he's got dissonant voices. He can't do anything. I think we just test. Do we just test 3 times and see what happens? -1. Fail. 0. Hey, we actually did succeed on the second go. All right, I'm happy with that. 2 clues now on Roland. We may as well spend our last action moving out of Arkham Woods. And should we throw working a hunch at the test? Yeah. I think we do. Unless somehow a path gets opened up to Arkham, this eastern Arkham Woods from the western one, and then it would be a waste of time. Right, no, we don't move. We stay here, and there's nothing to do. We may as well move. All right, let's do it. Let's try and move, but let's not use working a hunch. Let's keep working a hunch in our back pocket. It's a bit of a secret weapon. Testing 3 versus 3, we expect to fail. We do indeed fail, so we stay in twisting paths. And it's good because we failed by 3, so working a hunch wouldn't have even helped out anyway. It just would have been wasted. All right, Roland's go is completely finished, and at the end of the round, we discard dissonant voices. Wendy is going to test lockpicks twice against a Shroud of 4, I suppose. And we're really happy about getting lockpicks because Shroud of 4 would have been nasty to deal with, even with a flashlight potentially. This means we're testing 7 versus 4, so anything better than -3 is a success. So we're hoping. This means that we're looking at an 82% chance of success. I almost think we should play Rabbit's Foot first. I think we do. It does take an action and it takes a resource, but it means if we fail any of these tests, we at least get a card out of it. We test lockpicks 7 versus 4. See what happens. Occultist, -2. Place 1 doom on the nearest enemy. That's all right because the agenda it is the agenda. The doom on the agenda deck would have been moving forward anyway. It's kind of a whiff for this cultist token, but we succeed on the test, which is the important bit. That was our second action. That was our second action. For our third action, we do the same. We test 7 versus 4. We got a -4. Let's throw away elusive and redraw that. We'd like to succeed. We got a skull, -X, X being the number of monsters in play, monster enemies in play. There are none, as far as I can see. Therefore, Wendy gets her last clue. Good stuff. A more successful turn for sure, but we don't have. Our boards definitely look far less stacked than they did at this point in the last scenario, so I'm not optimistic about the future. We can get rid of this dissonant voices and we'll be happy to see it go. Onto the enemy phase. What do they do? Nothing. Onto the upkeep phase. We're now maxed on our card, our hand. What's it called? Our hand size on Roland, so we do need to be playing cards on this next turn. We drew Emergency Cash on Roland, the upgraded version, by the way, and we drew a Look What I Found on Wendy. I don't know if these are useful, probably, although I would have liked to get a Leo DeLuca. We're wasting useful turns in a way. Every turn that we don't have a Leo DeLuca out, he becomes less useful when we do get him. The Mythos phase, check the Doom counter, it is very, very over the limit. Reset all of the Doom and turn over this agenda card. Death to the intruders. Throughout the woods, a shrieking cry echoes. From somewhere deeper in the forest, a score of hideous voices answer the call, inhuman as the baying of hounds and yet articulate, repeating a singular name, Umordoth, Umordoth, Umordoth. I did a little tongue ripple on that. What do you think? Sounded scarier. Shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck and discard cards from the top until a monster enemy is discarded. Spawn that enemy at the main path, then place 1 doom on that enemy. Okay, first, shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. Done. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. We just start removing cards. Ghoul Minion, this is a monster, right? That's what it was. Until a monster enemy is discarded, spawn that at the main path. Not the scariest, I think we're okay with seeing this, but we do throw a doom onto it, don't forget that part. The ritual begins. Umordoth, Umordoth, Umordoth. The chanting builds in intensity, echoing into the cold air of the night. The sparse clouds in the sky coalesce above the Arkham woods, blotting out the faint light of the stars. Each enemy gains +1 fight and +1 evade. That's nasty. This ghoul minion is now 3 fight and 3 evade. Definitely deal withable, but does get a bit scarier. We have breathing room of 5 doom on this agenda deck. Encounter cards. Roland draws a Rotting Remains. We test 4 head. 3 head, sorry, why did I say 4? We have 3 head, but we definitely don't want to be failing this because we'd be taking horror, so I would like to commit something. But what? It would have to be police badge. I'm not over the moon about committing police badge, to be quite frank. Has to be done, I think. We need to be testing higher than 3 versus 3, for sure, so 5 versus... Right. This is an Elder thing. Oh, it is Elder thing. I must have picked that up from a video, someone else's video. This means that we fail Rotting Remains by as much as we could possibly have failed it by. We take 3 horror. We have no allies to assign it to because of that damn dissonant voices last time round. There's no ancient one in play, thankfully, so we don't have to... What did it say? We don't have to reveal another token. Horrible stuff, but you see how quickly Roland can get very, very under the surface of the water with this horror nonsense. Wendy's encounter card is Grasping Hands. You test 3 boot. For every point you fail by, you take 1 damage. We will likely succeed this, so we're testing 4 versus 3. We got a 0, we do indeed succeed. Nothing to worry about there. Investigation phase. Now Roland needs to get out, man. We need to leave. So we're going to move to the main path. This is an action, or we're going to attempt to move to the main path. Let's throw working a hunch at it. I would really, really like to succeed. Testing 5 versus the 3 of this. This twisting paths is nonsense. I'd never want to encounter something like this again, but I bet I will. Test 5 versus 3. It's so horrible. It's so horrible. We fail, of course. Let's try again. An auto fail. Let's try again for our last action. 0, we actually do succeed. But all that happens here is that the ghoul minion now just engages us and we have no time to do anything about it. Rubbish. Wendy moves. Wendy moves 1 to the main path. Wendy then moves... Or does she play pickpocketing? We play pickpocketing with an action, I think. 2 resources. It's our second action. Move with our last action to engage. Or not engage. We move to this Arkham Woods. And as a happenstance to that, as a coincidental, no, what's the word? A parallel happening. What is that? There's a word, it's not consecutive. Something happening at the same time, a coincidental. I don't know, there's a damn word for it. Anyway, while we move to Arkham Woods, that's our main aim. It happens that the Acolyte does engage us, and we have no actions left to do anything about it. But we're in a good position to deal with whatever this tangled thicket has in store for us. It's a 2-shroud location and there are 2 clues. This location is investigated using Fist instead of the skill indicated by the investigation attempt. An old horse trail in colonial days. This overgrown path hasn't been used in over a decade. The interaction with this is we'd be testing Fist, but lockpicks would still work. We'd just be adding our boot to that Fist. So we test 5 versus 2. It's not the worst thing on Wendy. You think it might be, but it's not. That is a problem and a decision to be made next turn anyway. Not feeling too confident about this scenario, not just because the scenario in itself is often decided to be much harder than Midnight Masks, but our draws are just not feeling right. Chaos tokens and cards too. On the enemy phase, what do? They all attack us. Oh, this is nasty. So we take 1 damage. We take 1 horror on Roland. Roland is close to dying. Roland is 1 sanity away from dying. I would like to draw... What was that card? If it doesn't kill me, it makes me stronger. What was the card? There was a card... I've had worse. That's what it was. I've had worse. And that negates any damage or horror done to us when we get resources. We need to be pulling that soon. Okay, the Acolyte attacks Wendy. Does 1 damage. Not too worried about that one. Onto the upkeep phase. Roland draws Evidence. Wendy draws Lucky. Mythos phase, we add a Doom. Draw encounter cards Ravenous Ghoul on Roland. 3/3/3. We need to deal with both of these. Ah, man. I think Roland just dies here, if we're not careful. Wendy's going to have to come back. I'm sure of that. Wendy's encounter card is Frozen in Fear. Put Frozen in... This is bad. Put Frozen in Fear into our threat area. The first time you move, fight, or evade each round, it costs another action. At the end of your turn, you test three head, and if you succeed, you get rid of this card. Which means if we did want to move over to the main path to take some heat off Roland, it's going to cost us 2 actions just to get there. Anyway, problems for another day. On the investigation phase, we move Wendy Adams. We take an attack of opportunity from the Acolyte, but luckily it's just 1 HP. That's 2 actions, which is so nasty. Then for our last action, we take Ghoul Minion off Roland. This decision is made. We have a Vicious Blow here, so we can kill Ravenous Ghoul in 1 swoop on Roland. But we needed to take the Ghoul Minion away so that Ravenous Ghoul was the only enemy that was engaged with us. Thus the machete can actually have the extra damage impact that we need it to have. It's Wendy's turn done. That's all she's done this turn. It's rubbish. And we didn't even get to evade, or we didn't even get to fail a skill test to start drawing cards. Roland's turn. He attacks the Ravenous Ghoul. We commit Vicious Blow. We're testing 4, 5 from Machete, plus 1 from Vicious Blow, 6-3. 6-3. Let's throw a guard dog into the mix, and let's say 7-3. -1, fantastic. Ravenous Ghoul gets discarded. No clues to use his investigator ability on, unfortunately. Really nasty. Really, really nasty. Let's get this beat cop out. Just get some assets out, man. We need him. Then for our final action, we could try and kill one of these enemies on Wendy. Yeah, let's try and kill the Acolyte. We're testing 4 basic on Roland. We're then getting +1 because of the machete and also +1 because of beat cop now. Or we could, hang on. Here's what you should do. You exhaust beat cop. You deal 1 damage to him. You then use that to kill the Acolyte without having to spend any actions. But then we're not killing the Ghoul Minion because we can't do damage. Do we in fact just play the emergency cash to draw 3 resources and get a card? I think we do. That's our final action. 45 automatic. We're really not that happy about that. We've already got our 38 special, which is superior in every way. It's even cheaper. That's our goes done. However we feel about them, they are done. Though, we do test at the end of our turn Frozen in Fear, so we test 4 versus 3. I think we're likely to succeed this. Oh no! Alright, so I've clicked the wrong thing. That's what's happened here. I've gone on autopilot and I've revealed some information. So what we're going to do, we're going to put Mysterious Chanting back in the encounter deck, and then we're just going to shuffle the encounter deck. I'm sorry. Maybe we've saved ourselves a bit there, or maybe we've made things harder, I don't know, but we need to take away any information that we had. What I meant to do was draw a token from the Chaos bag, and we succeed. 3 versus 3, Frozen in Fear gets got. That's, small victories, I think. Onto the enemy phase, the Ghoul Minion attacks us for 1 and 1. Any other enemies in play? No, there are none. The upkeep phase, we've drawn another machete on Roland, which is useless, and a flashlight on Wendy, which is also useless because we've got our lockpicks out. Again, the draws are not helping. I think Our luck has held very strong for these last two scenarios. We definitely deserved some bad luck at this point. Mythos phase, we added Doom, we checked the Doom counter, 3 out of 5, we're fine. Encounter cards. Hey, look, it's mysterious chanting, nothing has changed. Place 1 Doom on the nearest cultist enemy. There are none. If there are no cultist enemies in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a cultist enemy. Well, we just get this acolyte out again, I think. And draw it. Shuffle the encounter deck, but we don't shuffle the discard pile back into the encounter deck, by the look of it. We're really happy with this. Next turn, Roland's going to move to the Tangled Thicket and start, well, kill the acolyte quite quickly, I imagine, and then get 2 clues because we have this evidence. Then we can start moving this agenda on. No, sorry, this act on. Discard this. Wendy's turn. Oh, Wendy got an Umordoth's Wrath. Revelation, this is a curse. You test 5 head. For each point you fail by, you must either choose and discard a card from your hand or take 1 damage and 1 horror. So we could lose 5 cards from this, or we could take 5 damage and 5 horror from this, which would just kill us. But at least we drew it on Wendy. So, let's test. Do we have any head? Anything that we can throw at head? Not really. Don't think we want to use will to survive on something like this. We just test and see what happens. -1. So we fail by 2. Okay. I think that's doable. Choose and discard a card from your hand. Let's try that. We lost a look what I found. We're happy with that, I think, and then we take a damage and a horror for the other point that we lost by. A bit scary, a bit squeaky, but not the worst Mythos phase I've ever gone through in my life. Investigation phase. Follow the plan, stick to the plan. We move with Roland. That takes an action. Oh, by the way, we can move to the Arkham Woods to potentially heal a horror off Roland. It might be worth doing that. But for now, the Acolyte engages onto us, and we attack him. Oh, also, Sugar, we have this. Where is it? The enemies get +1 fight and +1 evade. Would that have affected anything that we were doing before? Shit. Anyway, like I said, on the night of the Zealot, I'm not going to get too precious. I just want to get it completed. It doesn't feel that good to win or lose in this campaign, really. It just feels quite neutral, quite run-of-the-mill. Does mean that this cultist is now, this acolyte is now 4-fist. Our 6-fist then doesn't start to seem that impressive. We throw a machete at it to make it 7-fist. 7 versus 4. It's an 80% chance of... Right? Okay, so we fail that. Quite simply, we fail that. We test again, we go 6 versus... Oh, we should have used this beat cop, shouldn't we? Right, I see. Well, we're not going to take back that last skill test, but we're going to throw another damage onto Beat Cop, exhaust him, and discard the Acolyte. And in doing so, we get the clue from Arkham Woods. We also, this is pretty cool, can throw an evidence at this. Costs 1, not too expensive, and that means we get another clue. This means we are now at 6 clues and can progress the Act deck. Do we do it? Let's instead move Roland down to Arkham Woods for his last turn, ready to heal horror on the next round. Now for Wendy, there's nothing for her to really do apart from progress the Act deck and hope that nothing bad happens. Let's do it. Unveiling the plan. Scattered throughout the forest, you've seen glyphs and arcane sigils in various places. etched into the bark of trees, carved upon the faces of stone, and dripped in blood upon the ground. Though you cannot decipher these glyphs, you notice that most of them tend to face south. Following these signs leads you by twists and turns toward a cave in the darkest and coldest part of the forest. As you advance, shadowy figures emerge from the trees, blocking the only path to the cave. Put the set-aside ritual site into play. Let's do that first. Ritual site, put it up here. Put it near to Roland, even though it doesn't matter. Makes us feel a bit better. Search the collection for each enemy recorded in your campaign log and occultists who got away. There are none, so nothing gets spawned at the main path. Into the darkness. The remaining cultists have followed you into the woods to try to stop you, and now they block the path to your objective. They stand ominously beneath the overhanging trees, silent sentinels in the night. You must defeat them or sneak past if you are to gain access to the site of their ritual. And we have an objective. If an investigator enters the ritual site, advance. I guess we just send Wendy to the ritual site. The large central chamber of a cold, dark cavern, adorned with arcane markings and dimly lit by candlelight. It's our first action. Ooh! Okay, no, take that back. We have an enemy here that I forgot about, so we should evade this enemy. In fact, it might be worthwhile to survival instinct it. We're testing 4 versus 3 at the moment because of this horrible nastiness. Let's test 5 versus 3. Hope to save an action with survival instinct to move to ritual site. I hope I've explained that well. So survival instinct means that you can, if the skill test is successful when you're evading the test that you committed to, you can move to a connecting location afterwards. I've no idea why I found that so difficult to explain, but it's just saving us 1 action, and I don't think we'll get a better opportunity. Testing 4 versus 3. Testing 5 versus 3 because of survival instinct. Commit anything else? Not worth a will to survive. Testing 5 versus 3. -2. It's a success. Let's do things slowly. It's a success. Ghoul minion gets exhausted. Ghoul minion also gets a doom put on him because of this token effect. Very nasty. Very, very nasty. Almost, is it worth to redraw? This doom means that the ghoul, this doom on the ghoul minion means that in the next mythos phase, the agenda deck is going to move forward. I don't like it, but I think it's not worth the risk to redraw. We're basically just saving 1 turn, nothing crazy. Oh. No, we redraw. We don't care too much. Let's push our luck. We don't care about the Devourer below. Let's push our luck. We get rid of flashlight and we redraw this token, and what... Ooh. Okay, this doom, by the way, gets taken away. That was our first action, and we failed, which means... Oh no. Yes. This was all our first action, and we failed. If there is a monster enemy at your location, take 1 damage. We do. We failed, which means Rabbit's Foot gets exhausted, and we get to draw a card. It's Leo DeLuca. Never been less excited to see this man. Maybe we still get some use out of him, I'm not sure. On our second go, we try to evade again. We roll. It's a cultist. We're testing 4 versus 3. So we go down to 1 versus 3. If there's a monster enemy at your location, there is. We're 1 HP away from death on Wendy now as well. But we throw in a lucky to make us succeed the test, so all is not in vain. Draw 1 card. Okay, exhaust pickpocketing, draw a card. We drew Backstab and Opportunist. For our last action, Man, it sucks we didn't even get to use that survival instinct to move, did we? What a waste. For our last action, let's go into the ritual site. Forced at the end of the round, if there are fewer than 2 clues per investigator on ritual site, add clues to it until it has 2 clues per investigator on it. The sigils on the wall begin to flicker in and out of focus, and the air grows heavy with the smell of death. 3 shroud. Shouldn't be too hard to deal with for our lockpicks. We feel safe here anyway. Kind of. As long as Roland survives. We're supposed to flip something, aren't we? If an investigator enters the ritual site, advance. That's not right. There's another card. Sorry, whoops. Last rites. When you enter the cave, the air grows cold, and your nostrils are assaulted by the pungent smell of blood and rot. Shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. Let's do that. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until 1 enemy is discarded. Spawn each discarded enemy at the ritual site. But this is awful because it's going to have time to attack us. So we're going to die. Is that how this is going to work? Is that how we lose? I fear it is. I fear it is. Okay. Well, let's have a go. Let's see what happens. Cultist spawns in the ritual site. Spawn each discarded enemy at the ritual site. I think the text here overrides the text on Acolyte's spawn. So it does definitely spawn on Wendy. Okay. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Or should they have gone in the discard pile? I'm going to tell you now, it doesn't matter because we are about to get whacked. On to the enemy phase. For the enemy phase, the Acolyte attacks Wendy, does 1 damage. Wendy dies. I don't often die in this game, so I don't really know what happens. I'm going to look it up. What happens is Wendy would drop all her clues, unengage this enemy, that enemy still lives, of course. Wendy just kind of goes over here and is removed from the game. Roland plays on. Roland is not going to win this campaign, but we will try anyway. We will try anyway, damn it. Onto the upkeep phase. Wendy drew an opportunist, by the way. Roland drew overpower. Now, let's spend that action to heal a horror. Although it may seem futile, use another action to move to the main path. Thus the ghoul minion would engage. Hang on, what am I doing? What the hell am I doing? Have I just started my second... What am I doing? I've started my next turn. Defeat has scrambled my brains. Turn all of this nonsense over. We still have a mythos phase to go through. So we have enough doom to progress the agenda deck. Let's do that first. No. Pick up one of them. The game is lagging a little. The will of Umordoth. A dark presence approaches, and you're assaulted by invisible pressures that bring you to your knees. A terrible force threatens to invade your mind and soul. Your throat clenches, and your eyes water as the sensation burns through you. In player order, each investigator must test 6 head. Each investigator who fails must search the collection for a random basic weakness and add it to his or her hand. To make this easier, let's just take hypochondria and put it into Roland's hand. Because I don't fancy doing all the admin and the bookwork when we're about to die anyway. So hypochondria goes to our threat area. I mean, we're going to fail. That's why I've not even tested. Or we can try. We're testing versus 6. So we lost because we achieved 1 versus 6. So of course we lose. And an encounter card now. A ghoul minion on us. Fantastic news. Investigation phase. Do exactly what we thought we were going to do. Spend an action, heal that horror. We've already done that, so don't click again. Well, actually, I should have killed the ghoul minion first. Vengeance awaits. The world begins to shift and change as the ritual nears its conclusion. The air grows chilly, and the entire forest is covered in a layer of rime. The trees bend unnaturally, and their shadows lengthen into weird shapes. When this agenda advances, which is in... didn't mean to click that. When this agenda advances, if the investigators are in Act 1, I'm not. If the investigators are in Act 2 or 3, discard all enemies at the ritual site and spawn the set-aside Umurdoth there. Okay, well at least the enemies don't have +1 fight and plus evade anymore. This means that we test 6 versus 2, and we hope on hope to win. -1, we can discard... we can discard this ghoul minion. That's our second action. So pretend we did those the other way around. We then... it's not even worth it for us to... There's no point moving because we'll just take damage. And then our efforts at healing will just be for nothing. I guess we draw a card and we hope for... Gosh, I don't know. What are we hoping for? Let's try it, I think. We got a guts. Could come in handy. Enemy phase. Nothing happens. Upkeep phase. We drew a police badge on Roland, which will help out with the willpower with the head. Don't worry about Wendy's draw, I suppose. Mythos phase. Add... we should have reset those. We add a doom. We draw an encounter card. Rotting remains. We test 3 head. For each point you fail by, take 1 horror. This is a time to commit a guts, I think. We're testing 5 versus 3, and we hope to succeed. We do, actually, and we draw a card because of guts. It is Stubborn Detective. That's just what we wanted to see, actually. How did you know? On to investigation phase. We got to deal with this, man. We've got to deal with Stubborn Detective. Let's fight him. We're testing 6 versus 3. I think it might be worth it to throw an overpower in as well, so we're testing 8 versus 3. -1. We succeed. Get got. That was our first action, and because we have an overpower, we do get another card. I'm just kind of drawing out the inevitable, but a miracle might happen, who knows. With our second action, we move into the main path. With our third action, we try to kill this school minion that's just engaged us. We're testing 6 versus 2, and we see what happens. -3, so we succeed, and there is a monster enemy at our location. So we take 1 damage. But, because of hypochondria, after you take 1 or more damage, you take 1 direct horror. So yet again, we are one sanity loss away from absolute annihilation. That's all our turns done, all our goes done. Enemy phase, nothing happens. Upkeep phase. I've had worse. We could have just used that about 6 or 7 turns earlier. Mythos, add a doom. We're under the threshold. An encounter card, an offer of power. Wow, this is horrible. You must either choose 1, draw 2 cards and place 1 doom on the current agenda, or take 2 horror. Well, we've got to draw 2 cards, and we've got to place 2 doom on the current agenda, because we can't take the horror, basically, we'd just die. A voice inside your head offers you power for a price. It doesn't feel like I've been offered power, it just feels like I've had to pay the price. Maybe there's a life lesson in that, who knows? Okay. Investigation. We drew, by the way, deduction and dodge, which are both... Well, dodge actually could come in handy, perhaps. We'd like to get police badge, wouldn't we? Oh, we didn't read disrupting the ritual. The site of the cult's ritual is inside a large cavern in a dark corner of the woods. In the center of a chamber is a candle-lit circle marked by rocks and arcane runes. We can use actions to spend 1 clue to test either 3 head or 3 boot. That'd be head in this case. If you succeed, place 1 clue on this act. If there are 4 clues on this act, advance. It's not going to happen, I don't think. But as I said, we're going to try. We spend 1 turn moving here. We then, because we're really starved for actions more than anything, we kill our beat cop to deal damage to this acolyte to get rid of him. We still have 2 actions remaining. Use one of them to get this police badge into play. Takes 3 resources. Then what? Try to get a clue of ritual site? Okay, I suppose we're testing 3 versus 3. Let's use a perception, and let's use deduction. Deduction adds 1, perception adds 2. We're testing 6 versus 3. We got a 0, we succeed, we get to draw 1 because of perception, and we do get 2 clues. Maybe there's a chance, I don't know. Let's think keenly about what to do. By the way, I happen to know that I just want to reiterate this, even though Wendy is dead, we still need 2 clues per investigator. That includes her. So instead of being 2 clues for just Roland being alive now, we need to get it for Wendy as well. Obviously makes things much more difficult. We have 1 more action left this turn. Let's just get a clue on the act deck, or try to. Let's test 4 head versus the 3 head on the act deck. So we got a cultist, so we fail, and we place 1 doom on the nearest enemy. At least there isn't a nearest enemy to speak of. The enemy phase, no enemies. The upkeep phase, we drew. That is wild. We've drawn cover up, put it into our threat area. We've seen this before. When you would discover 1 or more clues at your location, okay, we don't have to, remember I talked about this, we don't have to take clues off cover up when we discover clues normally. We can just accept the mental trauma at the end of this scenario and campaign. So let's do that. Let's pretend cover up doesn't even exist. Mythos phase. We are now on 5 doom, which means discard all enemies at the ritual site and spawn Mordoth. Okay. Spawn Mordoth. Let's do it. Mordoth spawns at the ritual site. 5, 6, and 6, Ancient 1 and Elite. Hunter, Massive. Mordoth gets +4 health per investigator. At the end of each investigator's turn, ready Mordoth. If you control Lita Chandler, I do not. It does 3 health damage and 3 sanity damage every time it attacks us. Okay. We still have to draw. We still have to draw an encounter card, and it's a Ravenous Ghoul. Well, that's fun. On to the investigation phase. What on earth do we do? We can't evade Mordoth, it's got 6 boot. I guess we try to evade Ravenous Ghoul. We're testing 4 versus 3. Let's throw a 45 automatic, we're testing 5 versus 3. Actually, no, we can't kill Ravenous Ghoul. It is the only enemy engaged with us, though. Okay, let's try and evade it. Testing 5 versus 3. 0, we succeed. At least that's something. We evade the Ravenous Ghoul. Takes up an action, by the way. Then we can use dodge to remove an attack off Mordoth, which is nice. Because it's massive, does it get attacks of opportunity? I'm going to look this up. I'll be back in a second. The answer is yeah, you definitely provoke attacks of opportunity from massive enemies. I think we've lost. I don't know, let's do anything, let's investigate. But before we investigate, we provoke Mordoth to attack us. I'm not even going to bother using the dodge, I don't think. Although, look at this, I do have 2 negations. No, I don't think this is going to work. I just don't have the capabilities. Let's try. What do we need to be doing? We need to be putting clues on the act. We don't have any on there at the moment, but we have 2. Let's try and put a clue on the act deck. So we're testing 4-head versus the 3-head that's on the act deck. Minus X. X is the number of monster enemies in play. There are 2. No, there's 1. Mordoth isn't a monster. We succeed, so we put one of these clues on the act card, which is a success. Now, you might think, what about the attack of opportunity? Well, he does it to us, but we play I've Had Worse, and we cancel up to 5 damage and/or horror just dealt to you. Then gain that many resources. I bet it doesn't mean 5 and/or horror damage total. So I bet you couldn't do 5 damage and 5 horror. I bet it's piecemeal. So we're going to take no horror sanity damage, obviously. And then we're going to take 1 health damage because total Mordoth does 6 to us. Right. Yeah, so we played this. And then we get that many resources. Fat lot of good it'll do us, but we get that many resources. Now for our next action, oh shit. After you take 1 or more damage, you take 1 horror. Well, I'm dead. We lose. And I'm sure I misplayed, obviously, because you assume that you do in all games, especially me with this game that I don't know particularly well. It didn't feel like it was that winnable, really. But we die. Anyway, if a Mordoth is defeated, resolution 2, it is not defeated. If no resolution was reached, each investigator resigned or was defeated, go to page 32.
Too frightened to face her fate, Lita flees into the night. She realizes that she has failed and a Mordoth's vengeance will pursue her wherever she goes. The creature's tendrils spread throughout the city of Arkham, searching for her. It lurks in the darkness of every corner, tugging at the seams of reality. But Lita is nowhere to be found, so the creature dwells in the shadows to this day, searching, killing.
Right. In your campaign log, record that Arkham succumbed to a Mordoth's terrible vengeance. Each surviving investigator is killed. The investigators lose. The end. Right, well, after 2 very successful scenarios, 1 very unsuccessful scenario, which, it's an above a 50% success rate, so maybe we'd be happy with that. We have lost. We don't complete the campaign. Though I have no desire to replay this campaign any more than I've already played it. I didn't really want to play it this time, but I thought I'd better do it just so that I can complete it on video for my own sort of completionist sensibilities. We call it completed, but we lost, and it's not really completed. But thank you very much for watching. If you see anything that I've done wrong in the rules that I haven't corrected myself, or you think could end up with me getting into some cheaty situations in the future, do tell me. I want to know how to play the game well, but not goodly. I want to play the game to the rules, but I don't necessarily care about winning too much. There we go, the end of Night of the Zealot. Is there anything more at the end? Like a secret page or something? This is standalone mode. Nonsense. Well, the credits. Thank you very much, Nate French and MJ Newman. Thank you very much, Patrick Brennan. Thank you very much, Brad Andres, Eric Dolman, Christopher Fletcher, Kevin Tomczyk, Alexander Hines, and Christine Crabb. Thank you very much, Mercedes O'Fane and Evan Simonet, with Monica Helland and Christopher Hosch. Thank you, Brian Schomburg. Thank you, Ignacio Bazan Lascano. Thank you, Zoe Robinson. Thank you, Andy Christensen. Thank you again, Andy Christensen, MJ Newman, Michael Hurley, Katrina Ostrander, and Nikki Valens. Thank you, Megan Duen. Thank you, Chris Gerber. Thank you, Andrew Navarro. Thank you, Corey Konitsia. Thank you, Michael Hurley. Thank you, Christian T. Peterson. And special thanks to all those playtesters. Let's do those too. Thank you, Aaron J. Wong, Alan Newman, Alex Filewood, Ali Eddy, Andrea Dalagnes, Brad Rapid Rat Recall Andres, Brian Schwebach, Caleb Grace, Chris Gerber, Christopher Hosch, Craig Late to the Party Bergman, Damon Stone, Daniel Schaefer, Dominic Green, Eric Delman, Gareth Dean, Ian Martin, Jeff Farrell, Jeremy Fraden, Jeremy Vicious Blow Juan, Julia Fater, Kathleen Miller, Katrina Ostrander, Lucas Litzinger, Luke Mining for Clues Eddie, Mark Anderson, Mark Larson, Mark Bashevsky, Mercedes Machete Opheme, Mike Autofail Strunk, Miss O Dalman, Patrice Mundinar, Patrick Brennan, Pavel Smozek, Rick Mayer, Rose Malloy, Sam Bailey, Samuel Longenegger, Sun Ye Dean, Tague, They Killed Me Again, Murphy, Zach, I Have Amnesia, Varberg. Thank you all very much for your time, including you watching, and I will see you for some more interesting Arkham, hopefully in the Dunwich Legacy to come.